We have now been joined by driver of the number 16 Lilly Diabetes American Diabetes Association Ford for the NASCAR Xfinity Series, Ryan Reed, and also Jim Perkins, who's the director of Wellmont Diabetes Treatment Centers. And Ryan, we'll start with you. Talk a little bit about your relationship this weekend with Wellmont and just the connection with, obviously your diabetes diagnosis and kind of what Wellmont's doing, and then we'll turn to Jim to kind of add as well how they're making diabetes known and treatment options known here in the Tri-Cities area.
Yeah, well, like you said, I was diagnosed with diabetes over 5 years ago. So when I was first diagnosed, they told me I'd never be in a race car again. So obviously I know how tough this disease is and how devastating it can be. But along with that, I feel like, especially through my relationship with Lilly Diabetes and American Diabetes Association, I've definitely seen how much you can really do whatever you want. And, if you work with your doctor and, like you said, look at treatment options and really just go out there and don't let diabetes hold you back, but also work with your doctor, then you can go out to chase your dreams. And for me, it's driving a race car. For anybody else, it's may and probably is something different. But my relationship with Wellmont has been awesome, and I really appreciate everything they're doing to raise awareness for diabetes. And the Wellmont Diabetes Alert sticker is just another way to kind of show and expand on that. And just really appreciative, like I said, of everything that they do and everything they continue to do, and just really proud to be a small part of that, and excited to have the Diabetes Alert sticker on the race car this weekend. It's something we've done for the last few years, and really, really excited about doing it again.
And Jim, if you can just talk a little bit about the treatment options in the Tri-Cities area, and also the efforts that you are working on with children to have them tested for diabetes as well.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. I moved to this area from Texas back in 1992. And back in the 80s and 90s, Austin, Texas was not really a mecca for NASCAR racing. They were more a mecca for barbecue and blues music. And when I moved here, I noticed about half the cars riding around the streets had numbers on them, and I had no idea what those numbers meant. And being in the world and the hub of NASCAR, I quickly found out that 24 was Jeff Gordon, now it's Chase Elliott, and 3 was Dale Earnhardt. Now I know that number 16 is Ryan Reed. And the pride that people have putting those numbers on the car just goes without saying. But there is a number that I know Ryan is not very proud of, and that is number 4. Tennessee ranks number 4 in the country on the prevalence of type 2 diabetes, and I'm betting Ryan isn't proud of number 5 either. That's where Sullivan County, where we are right now, ranks in the state of Tennessee on type 2 diabetes. And as I talk about numbers, the Know Your Number campaign that one of the local radio stations is doing, it's talking about know your NASCAR driver's numbers, and that's great for NASCAR. But being in the world of diabetes, when you say know your numbers, we want you to understand that knowing your numbers means knowing what an A1C is, knowing what that number level is, knowing what your blood glucose number is. And by knowing that, people can get early diagnosis of diabetes and get education, which is what we do at Wellmont in the diabetes treatment centers. And it's gone from adults down to kids. And Ryan, I don't know how well you're aware of all this, but we're seeing kids in the 7th and 8th grade that have type 2 diabetes. And we've developed a program to identify these children, to get treatment, so they can live a very full, happy life, just like you're doing. Ryan's a great, great proponent of diabetes awareness. And because of that, he, this year, as he said, is driving with the Diabetes Alert sticker. It's a tool that we developed here several years ago, and it goes in the window of a car for individuals that have type 2 diabetes. So if they're pulled over for a traffic mishap or there is an accident, the law enforcement can quickly identify and let EMS know that they have diabetes, and this may save a life. So I just want to say, number one, we're proud to be the exclusive wellness provider for Bristol Motor Speedway, and we're also proud to be associated with Ryan Reed and what all he does to support diabetes.
And we've also been joined by Julie Williams, who's the communications manager for Lilly Diabetes. And Julie, talk about just programs like what Jim's been talking about, and how that just helps grow the platform that you have every weekend when you go into a race market, to tell the diabetes story and also the treatment options and testing that's out there.
That's right. Thank you. And apologies for being late. You'd think, being from Indianapolis and Lily, that I would know how to navigate a track and the credentialing offices, but we did get stymied a little bit. So anyway, we're here, and we're just thrilled to be back in Bristol. This is the third year that we've been here, and the second year that Ryan has raced with the diabetes sticker on his car. And I think it's so important that we continue to go from track to track to track to tell this story, because diabetes is an epidemic in the United States and actually, unfortunately, around the world as well. And so the more people that we can make more aware of the fact that they may have diabetes, if they have it in their family, and if they have it themselves, to take the best care of themselves that they possibly can, and to see their doctor and talk to their friends and family about it. It's not a stigma. It is a disease that people have, but if taken care of properly, it can be very well managed, as Ryan is a perfect testimony to that diabetes does not have to stand in your way of, seeing your grandkids get married or to run a race at Bristol. You can still live a very healthy and long life with diabetes if you manage it properly. And that's what we try to say at Lilly Diabetes, is that we have programs and materials that are downloadable off of our website, lillydiabetes.com/drive, that talks about the drive program, has more information about Ryan, and also some very helpful tools with carb counting guides and meal planning guides and things that you should say to your doctor or ask your doctor about to make sure that your diabetes is well managed, so that you can either run a race or see people get married or just live your life.
All right, and Ryan, before we turn it over for a Q&A for everyone here at the front, talk a little bit about this weekend, the exciting race tomorrow with the new Dash for Cash format, the heats and the main. Just talk a little bit about, what that brings to this weekend, but also kind of, how you're going to approach tomorrow.
Well, yeah, first of all, just, going to the heat race format this weekend and having the Dash for Cash. And we've had Dash for Cash for a few years, but obviously throwing in the heat race and how you qualify for the Dash for Cash out of the heat races, it's really exciting, and it's definitely going to be a huge change from what we've had in the past. So I'm really excited for that. I grew up heat racing, racing late models out in California, so I haven't ran a heat race in probably, 4 or 5 years. So really excited to kind of get back to that, get back to the roots a little bit, and I think all the fans are as well, and I'm sure all the media is as well. So it should add for a lot of excitement. Bristol's a tough track regardless, and then you throw in heat races and give us one more opportunity to go up there and tear up the car before the end of the race is going to be challenging. I know we talked a lot about it this week, and it's really interesting because obviously you want to be able to start the main event with a clean race car, but then also too, if you're in a position to qualify for the Dash for Cash, you're gonna want to get aggressive and do that. And then if you win 2 of these Dash for Cashes, then you're locked in the chase. So that puts another element in there that really adds a lot of pressure and adds some pressure to go out there and get it done. But just really excited. And then I feel like Bristol's a place that I've struggled at in the past, so definitely want to go in here and work really hard. And talked to Chris Buescher a lot this week, Ricky Stenhouse, all my teammates, trying to learn from them to kind of accelerate that process and come out here and unload here in a few hours for practice and have some speed. So looking forward to getting this weekend going, and then looking forward to getting in the Dash for Cash tomorrow, hopefully, and hopefully winning $100,000.
All right, we'll go ahead and take questions for Jim, Ryan, or Julie. If you have one, please raise your hand and state your name and affiliation. Okay, we'll go to Jeff, and then Doug, and then Jeff.
All right, Jeff Birchfield, John C. Presses. For Jim, being a local company like this, what does it mean to be affiliated with Bristol Motor Speedway and with a major team like Roush Fenway Racing?
Wellmont has been the exclusive medical provider for Bristol Motor Speedway and Dragway for over 10 years. So we've had a good affiliation with NASCAR, but when we heard about Ryan and Lily and Roush Fenway's willingness to do a local thing like we're doing with the Diabetes Alert sticker, it just thrilled us. And the sticker I didn't mention earlier, but we started it here in the Tri-Cities, and it is now across the state. It's in Knoxville, it's all the way to Memphis. So being able to get national exposure on this, letting people know about diabetes, I can't say enough and how appreciative we are of Roush Fenway and Ryan for that opportunity.
All right, Doug, go ahead. Mark, I'm sorry.
All right.
Totally. Sorry about that.
No problem. Mark Garrow, PRN. I guess this question is for all three of you. What is the biggest hurdle to overcome to compete with this type of disease? What are the things, the key things that you have to key in on, and what do you tell people to key in on so they can compete, or just go through a high level of exertion?
You guys want me to?
Yeah.
Go? All right.
You're the competitor.
Yeah, obviously there's, whether you're driving a race car or not, there's a lot of things you have to manage with diabetes. And I would say that all those things, it's very similar things, whether I'm strapping into a race car or just, having a Sunday off, it's checking your blood sugar, it's monitoring it continuously, it's, taking insulin, taking multiple insulin shots a day. So those are all things that play into race day, but it's all different on race day. Obviously, when you're talking about strapping in a race car for 2 hours, you're not going to have the opportunity to, prick your finger, put blood on a test strip, and see what your blood sugar is. You're not going to have an opportunity to, take an insulin shot. Oh, I do, but it's, through a pit stop, having a pit crew member trained to give me an insulin injection during a pit stop, which is a safety net, not something we plan on having to do. But really, I think the major thing is just I worked with my doctor a lot and still do. And that's no different than managing your diabetes on any other day. My doctor's a lot smarter than I am, and I recognize that, and I listen to what she has to say and try and practice that. Obviously, you're the one taking the diabetes home with you. You're the one who has to manage it day in and day out, but your doctor can really make a difference. And, if you have a good relationship with your doctor like I do, then it makes it a lot easier, and I know I talk to her all the time, always asking her questions, and it's made a huge difference. Even over the last couple of years, I've been racing for, 5 years now with diabetes, and still to this day, I don't feel like I communicate with her any less. It's just it's always changing, it's always developing, and my doctor's always coming up with something new to try and make my life a little easier, which I'm appreciative of.
All right, we'll go to Jeff, and our final question from Stan. Go ahead, Jeff.
Jeff Gluck from USA Today. Ryan, with this new chase format, do you find yourself looking at the point standings more often than you did last year, or is there anything different in your week-to-week approach when you come to the track?
Just when it shows up in my notifications on Twitter, man. Now, it's really early. Obviously, I think that definitely as I think you get closer to, you're going to pay a lot more attention to it, especially if you're on the bubble getting close to the chase. I think that watching over the, especially in the Cup Series over the last few years, you definitely want, the goal is to get locked in the chase. And once you're locked in the chase, it's going to obviously change your approach a lot, and it's kind of a reset, and then you're going to have the opportunity to hopefully make it down into Homestead and compete in that final race for a championship. But right now, I think that it is different in the Cup Series in the way that you have a lot of Sprint Cup rate drivers, week in and week out in the Xfinity Series, which makes it really tough to win. So, not that you've ever entered a race feeling like you can't win, but you also know that how tough it is to win, so you also know how important those points are going to be. So definitely, it hasn't eliminated points racing at all. You definitely need to make sure that you don't have those catastrophic days, because those are the days that knock you outside the top 12, and then you're in trouble come chase time. So definitely focused on, on our worst days, still salvaging points, still, if we, have a bad pit stop, have a tire, something goes wrong, or if I just, screw up and tear up the race car, then, we need to make sure that we do the best we can on those days to not have it be, a huge points loss. That way, whether we win or we don't win, we have enough points to lock ourselves into the chase.
All right, we'll take our final question from Stan. Go ahead.
Stan Creekmore with RPMtonight.com. Ryan, a lot of people don't understand the issues daily of diabetes, and yours is obviously hourly in a sense, but they don't understand A1D, that number that they only check every 3 months or something. How is your A1D number?
Yeah, it's A1C, not to correct you.
A1C, I'm
There you
sorry,
go.
my apologies.
One letter away. But it's, A1C is kind of, I feel like a lot of people with diabetes kind of feel like it's your report card. When you go see your doctor, they check your A1C, and, it's not something that you can, I guess suppose you can check it yourself, but most people just wait till they go see their doctor, and you feel like, man, I had a really good 3 months, managed my diabetes well, and that's, like I said, almost your report card in a sense. But it's something that kind of can put a lot of pressure on you, but at the same time can be really rewarding, and know that and I know for me, I look a lot at my A1C, and me and my doctor feel really comfortable where my A1C is at, and it's just the tighter you manage your diabetes, the better management you have. Usually 9 times out of 10, the better your A1C is going to be. And for people with diabetes, that usually means a lower number. So A1C is just like I said, it's about a 3-month average of what your blood sugar has done over the last 3 months. And so, short of writing down your blood sugar, every time you check and graphing it out, that's the most efficient way to see what your kind of average has been over the last 3 months. And, it's like I said, it's a lot of work managing your diabetes, and that's your benchmark. So, like I said, me and my doctor have felt really good over the last few years where my A1C has been at, and during the off season it might go a little higher if I taking a little break, eating more pizza, but for the most part, we feel good, every quarterly checkup that I have with her.
All right, Ryan, Jim, and Julie, thank you for your time today. Ryan, we wish you the best of luck this weekend.
Thanks, guys.
Jim and Julie are available if you have any more questions or need more information. And Jim from Wellmont also has some materials if you need over here to our left. Oh, thank you.
Let's go to the press conference.